Yuki and Jiu-Jitsu, Sensei, Yoshi, I'll never yum until I die. All the things I've learned, Makiwara and Zaisen, are the blessings I'll teach you.
Join me each week as I train with different jiu-jitsu instructors and world champions. Two things are bound to happen. Number one, I will get submitted. And number two, both you and I will learn a thing or two. I'm Budo Jake, and this is Rolled Up.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Rolled Up. I'm Budo Jake, and I'm joined here with Shawn Williams. He has his own school, Renzo Gracie Los Angeles, and he also does commentary for us on the gi worlds, the no-gi worlds, and all the other live broadcasts that we do. Shawn, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So how's your new school going?
Oh, it's going great, yeah. We're still doing a little bit of finishing up on the construction on the front end, but yeah, I'm really happy. We got lucky with the space, and I'm lucky with the students that I have, and it's growing like crazy, and so yeah, very, very, very lucky, yeah.
And whereabouts is it?
It's on Wilshire Boulevard. It's kind of in Hancock Park, Koreatown area, so you know the exact address is 4201 Wilshire Boulevard, yeah.
Okay. And you teaching gi and no-gi there?
Yeah, we teach, I have gi classes, no-gi classes. We teach Muay Thai kickboxing. We're just starting our children's martial arts program, so I'm excited for it to all take off.
Right. And the URL?
Is right now it's RenzoGracieLosAngeles.com. Okay. You can go on there. It's kind of a temporary site. The actual school's name is 5-Star Martial Arts, but the Jiu-Jitsu division is, we're an associate or affiliate of Renzo Gracie.
Okay. So. Now, some of the guys might not know who you are, but your reputation, I think, precedes you in that you're a very detail-oriented instructor. Where does that come from?
It came from the top for, myself and actually all of my teammates, that's the way Renzo taught when I started there, and back in October '96, 14 years now, holy crap. But, that's how he always taught. He taught, it was very detailed. There was the process of explaining why you would do a move, not just like, hey, here's an arm lock, but like why you would do it that way, what would happen if you didn't do that way, or what would happen if, the guy got out. And so there was this kind of completeness even with one move. So he really taught us to understand the whole move, but like in its entirety, not just, oh, here's how you do an arm lock. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty impressive, I was pretty lucky that way.
And when did Renzo come to America?
He came, the first time I saw him fight was in the World Combat Championships in I think that was October of '95. Mm-hmm. And I saw an ad in Black Belt magazine that he and Craig Kukuk had a school. So I went to visit in the summer of '96, and I'm pretty sure that's about the time that he kind of got there permanently. Mm-hmm. And I met him there, and then I was hooked. He's such a nice guy, so I decided to move to New York.
So you were one of his first students?
There was probably, when I was there, it was probably maybe 50 to 70 students already, for in the New York area, maybe 100, I'm not really sure. But, Matt Serra was a blue belt right when I started, and got his purple belt shortly after that. And Matt and his brother Nick Serra too, they both kind of went through the belts together. Rodrigo Gracie came out shortly after I was there. Ricardo Almeida was just at the end of his purple belt stage. He got his brown belt shortly after I was there.
How about John Danaher?
Yeah, John Danaher and I started about the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of moved up together, so that was pretty cool. He was always around. We always trained every day, After the first couple months, we got hooked into training every day, and then that was it. And so he and I are kind of colleagues, I guess. We got our black belts on the same day. We trained a lot together. We kind of went over material together. He was kind of one of my big influences too, because he would always look at tapes and stuff that I thought was like, oh, well, it's kind of corny at the time, But he would look at it and then figure out how to use it in jiu-jitsu. And then as soon as I kind of saw like, wow, he's using stuff from like Sambo and things like that, and he's making it work for what we do, I should do the same thing. So then that's when I really started studying. Renzo was very open with that too, so because he's just a genius, John. So.
Right. When I think back of some of these early students like you and John and the Serras, Do you think Renzo's teaching the same way now as he taught you guys in the beginning?
They've got great teachers in New York now. You know, it's Igor and Igor Gracie and Gregor Gracie, and they got a slew of other great teachers there.
Right.
So, and John's kind of a, you know, he teaches a lot of classes there also. So I'm sure that they're all teaching very similar ways, you know, because they're all great guys. They were there. Igor came up when he was a brown belt and was there for quite a while before I moved to LA. So we were good friends and training partners, and that it just rubs off on you, you know, like that. Those details rub off on you. Yeah. So I think that's how Renzo's standard is to be very detail orientated and to explain why, and not just be like, here's an arm lock. Right. You know. So yeah, I think so.
But that's kind of a pattern that I've seen before. A famous Brazilian will come to America. A lot of students will be attracted to him, and then after a couple of years, he'll build up his academy and have some maybe other instructors teaching there, and then he'll go off and maybe spend a little more free time or open up other academies. Yeah. It seems like often that first core group is really lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself lucky, but just because I got to learn from him. But you know, I think if that teacher does his job well, and which I think Renzo did, he makes this group of guys that then they take it and they give it to the next generation. You know, like, for instance, John Danaher teaches the day classes there. We came up together. He teaches the early morning and the noon classes. I mean, and now the generation, instead of, hey, I'm learning directly from Renzo, they're learning directly from John. And if you know John, like, Renzo did his job well because this guy is now considered like one of the best teachers on the planet. It's no accident that George St. Pierre goes to him. It's no accident that Frankie Edgar's there every Monday. It's no accident that Ricardo's there every Monday, and Matt had him at his last fight. That's not an accident, And for me, I think that's a direct correlation to how Renzo did his job. I think he deserves to have a little break, He was there every day in, hours out, teaching us how to teach. And and that's another thing I think he did a little bit differently is he didn't just say, okay, Shawn, go teach class. When I taught class, he was there to watch me teach and would give me feedback. And so he was teaching me not only jiu-jitsu, but how to teach and what the importance of relaying that information and giving back that information is. So if a teacher doesn't do that, if they just, hey, I made my 10 guys, I'm out of here, then I think that's like, oh man, I got shorted in on the stick on the next generation. But a guy like him that kind of walked us through teaching, and then I think that every generation benefits, because we're able to relay that information plus any new information that we've gained with the new times. So I think it's all right, it's all right.
Do you think that American students benefit more from having a native English speaker?
Yes and no. Depends on who it is. That's the other thing about, I'm just Renzo, but this guy's a freaking genius, Like, when he came to the States, when I first met him, his English was okay. It wasn't good. But he read, like, anytime he got a chance to read, he was always asking John questions about English. And didn't speak Portuguese in the academy. Like, if he could, English, he crammed it down his throat. And man, he's probably got better English than me. I'm sure he knows.
That's me too.
And but that's where you see, like, okay, this guy not only, like, he didn't just come to teach jiu-jitsu. He came to teach jiu-jitsu, and he knew, hey, these guys are native English-speaking students. I need to be able to relay it in terms that they can understand, and he wanted to be as detailed as he could be in Portuguese. So he learned English and learned how to, and I think that makes a difference. I mean, obviously, if I wanted to go to another country and teach, it's actually a funny that you might ask that is, one time I was in Brazil, and Fabio Leopoldo and I were having a drink after the tournament, and he said, Shawn, what the sorry thing is that if you came here to open a school, you would have almost no students. And he was like, because, there's that barrier of, you wouldn't be able to break, like you are an amazing teacher in English, but if you can't speak Portuguese fluently like you can in English, you can't describe it the same way. Even if I wanted to do that, if I had to do that, I would have to learn Portuguese inside and out. And that's what Renzo did. He learned English inside and out. Ricardo Almeida, you try to stump that guy. You have to look in a dictionary to stump the guy on an English word. He's gonna, and that's what it means. It comes from the top, That Renzo set the precedent of eliteness, and we had to live up to it.
Yeah.
And I think he did a good job of not promoting or being tough on promotions until we lived up to that. And then, okay, now it's time.
Right. Well, Shawn, I think it only makes sense to start out with your guard.
Sure. Let's look at what it is exactly, and maybe the how to get there. One way to how to get there. How's that sound?
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So it's a closed guard variation, and I need to have your arm on this right here, right? I need to have your arm in an omoplata position. So I wish I had Jedi mind trick, because I would tell you put your arm there, but I don't, right? Okay. So we're gonna have to control your posture, especially if guys are 2 hands on biceps. They just start to get their posture, so we'll pummel twice. One pummel is just to get your head, right? Because I'm gonna pull down on your head. This hand will most likely go back to the inside. Unfortunately, that just happens. The harder I pull and the harder you push, the more when we get this underhook, or this overhook rather, in, the faster you fall down. So when there's that tension, you tend to fall down when I move the hip. So this arm goes to the mat because of that tension, right? Now the guard comes when we're on our side. There's no flatness on this guard. I want to make sure that I get my hip angle right away. We get the hip angle by moving our hips out, 1 or 2 different ways. One is you can straighten your leg and push down on your thigh while I point my feet the other side. The other way is actually to put my foot on your hip, okay? I want to avoid putting the foot on the floor, because every time you put the foot on the floor, you see now your knee is free. So you get these good guys that are good at jumping the knee through the middle. So I try to avoid using my foot on the floor in the closed guard. Half guard we use it, but not on the closed guard. So once I have your arm here, we've moved out to the side, I'm gonna bring my knee up your back, right? We wanna make sure that we bring the knee up the back near the spine. If I bring the knee up here nice and wide, it leaves a lot, you can feel how loose it is. So I wanna bring the knee up the back pretty tight, like I'm trying to keep my knee in your spine. Then my right hand's gonna go underneath my right knee, and there's several grips, right? If you're not driving into me, you can grab your own knee, or your own shoulder rather, right? But most of the time, if you've been here before, you're gonna drive your head in, right? Yeah, and that flattens me out. So ideally, I like to make a frame. And once we make a frame, we stress more about the frame than like, I don't worry about my leg holding you tight. I'm worried about where my frame is. So my right hand's gonna face away, and this hand's gonna face me, so that we make a gable grip with a left elbow framed at 90 here. Because what I want to keep your head out. So if I keep your head out by keeping the elbow 90, we're good. If I straighten that, you're able to weave your head right underneath, and you're back in. This is not a good position where I'm holding your head. I want to make sure that your head stays outside of the lock, and we have that frame here. Okay. If I turn my hands over like this, it's really weak. You'll be able to drive through that frame. So we want to make sure that frame is set with that gable grip. Again, if you've got hands on biceps, we'll just use this entry today. A lot of a different entry. So one is to gain control of the head. The second one is to get my overhook position. Bring the knee up nice and tight. I get your head out of there, and I make my frame. And that's really what the Williams guard is. And then the attacks just stem from there.
And why do you prefer that position than a typical omoplata position?
To watch the entire 52-minute episode and other original BJJ-related programming, please visit www.BudoVideos.com/online.